I mean, you were just talking about like how people go through deck crises, right?
Yeah.
And as you know, I was also going through the exact same thing. And at that local that you were just talking about where you were playing Dragon Turbo, I was like, Frazier, I'm going to play Diva Hero. And I was like, if Diva Hero fails me, I'm not going to play for the event. I'm just gonna play Black Wings. And you know, things panned out. I got second place at that local,
Sort
and then
of.
you
So,
just yeah, go ahead.
so
No, go
let's
ahead.
talk about that a little bit. Okay, so we go to this Friday night tournament, right? It's at some local that's new, and I was mad at Cairo a week ago for even saying that he would play Black Wings for nationals, because in my head, sure, you just topped RBET with Black Wings or whatever, but like one, I don't believe it. Like Black Wings is one of those decks that like it's another run hot deck. Like if you open up Whirlwind a lot and things go your way, like you're just going to steamroll. And I watched a lot of Cairo's games at RBET, and it was literally, and he admitted this too, it was like I opened up Whirlwind like a fucking madman. So I was like, one, that's problematic because that's not going to happen in real life, at least not twice, right? The second part is Diva Hero has been by far the most successful deck for you, and there's no reason for the biggest tournament that you're ever going to play in to like trade on it now after all it's done for you. Like that just seems crazy to me. To at the finish line, you're like, all right, Moses, you can't come in, even though you've led these people for 40 years to the promised land. It's like you don't even get to fucking see it. That's how I felt. I was like, that's insane. So when our mutual friend Gary told me that Cairo he said, can you give this Blackwing deck to Cairo? And I was like, why? He's like, oh, because he's gonna play it for nationals. I was like, well, two things. One, I'll take the deck with me to nationals. I will not give it to him. I was like, I think this is absolutely insane. I'm gonna talk to him about this too, but I was like, I think it's absolutely insane to like even consider playing Black Wings. I don't care what happened last week at RBET. That is just a crazy thing to me because Diva Hero is a deck that is actually super hard to side against. And Black Wings is a deck that is super easy to side against. And a lot of people are prepared for Black Wings. People are not prepared for Diva Hero, even right now. Diva Hero is a very difficult deck to side against. It has a lot of strengths. I upgraded it to S tier on my last tier list. Like, it has a lot going for it. And Cairo is the best player in the world with Diva Hero right now. Like, it's not even close. Like, there's no one better.
In terms of siding, I'd argue that how hard it is to side against, I wouldn't know as well as you know, obviously. But I'd also argue that regardless how hard it is to side against, just like you already said, straight up less people are preparing for it. Like, people aren't prepared because not a lot of people play Diva Hero. Like, when you look at the statistics, I don't.
Well, that used to be the case.
Well, yeah. But it's starting to rise. It's starting to rise back up thanks to someone. But
two decks are actually well represented now that were not well represented before. So Hero Frogs, which actually took the most spots in top 8. I didn't even know this, by the way. I literally didn't know until we were driving home. Hero Frogs took 3 out of 8 spots, which I didn't even know that there were that many. Like, I saw people playing Hero Frogs as I was walking around, but in my head, I saw Six Samurais too, right? So like, I didn't think
so. Wow, Six Samurais is definitely somebody that was like, oh, I want to go back and play Edison format. I'm going to go to this event.
There was this one guy who was playing Six Sams, and he was full sending it. He actually beat my teammate Cam Saunders round 1, and we walked over to the game, and he had Gateway, United in the back row with a field full of Six Samurais just straight up Dougieing on this man. And I just walked away because I was like, I can't be here for this. This is basically one of those like gore porn, you know? Like, it's just like a fucking murder scene.
I mean, we just watched that when we watched Hydro Pump get Dougie'd on by the fucking assault mode Stardust Dragon.
Yes, literally gore. So I don't want to watch this. This is some fucked up shit to see. So I walked away from that. But back to the point. So yeah, you were correct at one point that Diva Hero wasn't well represented in the format. A lot of people were not playing it. Cairo actually played against like 4 other Diva Hero players, maybe more, but at least 4, right?
Yeah, I mean, in my tournament report, I played against 3 or 4 different Diva Hero mirror match, and that doesn't even count when I was walking around because I never went in the time ever. I finished very early, every last one of myself.
I need more people to be like you, Cairo. It's fucking.
And I would get up
bullshit,
and I'd walk around and I'd try to see who's playing what and what decks are being represented, and there were so many Diva Hero players.
Yep.
It was crazy.
That's so interesting.
So I played against a couple too. I played against 2 of them. And Diva Hero was all around. And Yeah,
it's cool. It's kind of cool when you like if you track the story of Edison format, because obviously there's what won Edison. So people get into the format trying to play that deck, the Dandelion deck, and then
yeah, quick draw. That's how disrespected that deck is at this point.
But then the format kind of becomes for a period of time like Diva Hero format. Like everybody thinks like
when
Diva
we
Hero,
got into it.
Yeah, when we got into it, Diva Hero
Silch's Ruin was running fucking
best
Edison
deck.
format last year.
Yeah, it was like the highest represented deck, and then it has a fall off, and then people start straight disrespecting it, saying it's bad and it's not that good, and blah blah blah. And then there's
in my one video, I have basically the stats. In my one video, I have the stats. Literally, no one topped with the deck for over a year. Literally over a year.
Until you started playing with it again, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I was the first one to top with the deck in a year. And when I say top, I refer to top 8. Like if you came in like 12th place, like that's not.
Yeah,
not
I do not. All those top 12s and all that, I'll pass.
Yeah.
Y'all can hold those. It's top 8 or bust. Like unless the tournament is. So for me, it's like if it's cut the top 16, right? Then I'll say top 16. But if it's cut the top 12, I don't understand why you would be cutting to 12. Like why are 4 people getting a bye and then 8 people are just playing it out? Yeah, that's just like not a thing. And I don't know who came up with that idea, but it's not a good one. And I really don't like that. So I wish they would stop doing that. Because your placement, your seeding is completely luck based. So right, look, I went X and 1 right at a tournament, and I got like 5th or 6th place, being X and 1. At no fault of my own. Like there was nothing that I could have done to go. Like it's based on who your tiebreakers. It's based on your tiebreakers, which you have no control over who you're going to play. So that is annoying as fuck to be like, well, I got the same record as these other 3 or 4 people who are 1st to 4th seed, but because like the tiebreakers that you guys calculated, I am now having to play for my spot in top 8 when I was originally just in top 8. Like that's
so weird.
That's just insane to me. So I'm like, I do not like that at all. They like top 16 or top 8. Like none of this top 12 nonsense. Like just do one way or the other. I don't know why people are trying to reinvent the wheel with that.
You're cutting that. There's absolutely no reason once you cut to a top, anybody should be getting a buy. There should be no buys happening in this equation. Why are we doing
buys in top cut? Like that is actually, the more I talk about it, the more insane it sounds. The more like I'm thinking about it more and more. I'm like, why are we doing this? So the same way, like I love ARG and everything like that, but they had this one rule that was not okay for Yu-Gi-Oh, where when you topped a ARG, and it wasn't always like this, but towards the end of the life of ARGs, they had it where, depending on who finished higher in Swiss, they got to choose who went first in the duel.
What?
In game 1.
That is crazy!
Yes. And like, think about Yu-Gi-Oh, right? You know how much of a game of variance Yu-Gi-Oh is. So off the bat, that is an extreme, what do you want to call it? An extreme advantage. There you go. That's an extreme advantage to have, to be like, I'm going first because I placed higher to you. So in this, it goes all the way down to the end of the tournament. So basically,
it's also definitely some win more shit. Like,
yes, it's ignorant as fuck. So like, if you finish 8th and somebody finished 31st in top 32, like you just get to go first. And then as the tournament goes on, unless you at 8th place play against somebody who has a lower seeding you're going to go first the entire top cut.
That is, that's also crazy. And speaking of win more, like if you're first in the seeding, then it's like your top run is kind of illegitimate in a way, because you got to choose to go first in every single game there. Yes. You know what I mean? Like,
you're playing the worst person technically because you playing 32nd.
Yeah, like that's actually so crazy.
Yeah. So I don't like a lot of the changes to just things that have already been well established. And
you flipping a coin. I don't really.
There are other things that people complain about that are legitimate, right? About Yu-Gi-Oh! Like there are plenty of things to complain about Yu-Gi-Oh! And one of the things that I've never really heard people complain about is like, oh, why was this event top 16 cut? Right? Like I've never, like that's not one of the things that the community complains about, is like, why is it top 16? Like that's not one of them. Yeah. So I don't know why that is something that's being changed. There's other things that we can change, like how much time isn't around, the time rules themselves, stuff like that. Like there are things that we can change that are like everybody would agree, or most people would agree, this is a good change. But like again, some of this stuff is just I don't
mean, the time rules for nationals, for those of you who don't know, were terrible. They were absolutely terrible. Even though we played in an Edison event.
That's why Cairo was like, I'm not going in the time.
they were modern turn rules, which means end of phase.
All right, that's
Time's
really
called on
bad.
your turn, and then whatever phase. So if you're in main phase, you cannot proceed to go to battle phase.
That's
to reduce
like you can't.
Yes.
You got to use at the very least if you're not going to make it better, you got to use the time rules of the time of that format, just like how you use the rulings of that format, right? Like cards are ruled differently now than they were then. But we're not using the 2023 rulings for these cards because, like, that.
Hey guys, if you like this clip, we have full video versions of our podcast episodes available on the IMNerd Patreon, as well as exclusive content.
If you'd like to listen to our full podcast episodes or find us on any other social media platforms, you can do so by clicking the link tree below.